Bring 'em up. Yeah. Take them up. See?
Sit there first. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, call the special executive committee meeting to order. The purpose of this meeting is to interview two candidates for the Veteran Service Director's position. Roll call, myself, Mr. Crockett.
Here.
Mr. Saxton.
Here.
Mr. Gilman.
Here.
Director Sheldon.
Here.
We also have, Commissioner Administrator Murphy.
Your mic on?
Yes.
Oh.
Jennifer, I knew that. And Commissioner Towns. Mr. Rupel, would you have a seat over here, please?
Welcome. Morning.
Morning. Morning. Morning. Morning. Okay, Mr. Rupel, I'd like to introduce you to Committeeman Gillen, Mr. Saxton, Commissioner Collins, and Ed Crockett. I'm Mike Shadbolt. I'm the chairman here. Okay, we'll get, we might as well get right down to it. Are you ready for the first question, sir?
Go right ahead.
Okay, tell us about yourself and what qualities or strengths will make you successful as our next Veterans Service Director.
Well, my name is Tim Rupel. I currently am the Deputy Veterans Service Director for the Lenawee County Veterans Affairs Office. I currently work with veterans on helping them file for compensation benefits. I do pension benefits, healthcare applications, and survivors benefits. Sorry. So through the process, my job is to advocate for veterans, to help them file their claims, to help them understand the process to the point where they feel, sorry, a little nervous there. So the process that they feel comfortable as they go through the filing their claim for benefits. The reason why I feel like I'm a good candidate for this position is I served in the military for 5 years as a wheeled mechanic, and then from there, when I left the service, I had an out process. The out process was very challenging and difficult, but when I got back here, I stopped in my Veterans Affairs office. I met the current director, and she helped me through that process. She helped me feel comfortable with that situation. And then with that, from then on, I felt this passion to want to serve veterans. And so from there, I continued to serve. I joined my local veteran service organization. I learned how to help veterans transition. And then I would go to school and I would get my bachelor's degree from Siena Heights University. And I completed a work study with the County Veterans Affairs Office during that time. And during that time, I was able to learn the ins and outs of the VA benefits, what services, and which helped me when I was at the University of Michigan, getting my master's in social work, help veterans transition back into college, help them with their transitioning into the university, and guiding them to connect with other veterans or connect with their VA benefits. And then I would go on to become a social worker with the with the local organization within the community to help the homeless within the community. And during that time, I would help a few different homeless veterans, connect with them and get them connected with the Veterans Affairs Office, Veterans Healthcare, and any other homeless programs that were within the county. Then at some point in time, I would then go and get my master's in human resources from the university, Eastern University. And then I was called, I feel like it's a calling to come work at the Department of Veterans Affairs. And therefrom on, I would learn the skills that was needed to become a accredited veteran service officer. And so I can legally serve veterans and helping them file for VA benefits and advocating for them through this process.
Thank you.
As the Veteran Service Director, you're not only the department head, you are also the Chief Veteran Service Officer. You will balance a client caseload, mentor VSOs, manage the department's strategic planning, and navigate complex bureaucracy. How does this role align with where you want to be professionally, and does it fit your long-term goal?
Yes, it does fit my long-term goal. I have, like I said, I've worked as, for the last 3 years, I've been working as an accredited veteran service officer. I've been side by side with the current director and helping to continue the successful foundation that we put in place in that office to serve veterans and their families, to make sure they're getting the benefits that they deserve.
Thank you.
As a veteran service officer is expected to be knowledgeable on related benefits and resources. To achieve service-connected VA disability compensation, a veteran must establish that a current disability is linked to their military service. The VA recognizes 5 avenues. Please describe at least 2 of these avenues.
Yes, so first you have to have to make a connection, you have to have an incurred disability, so it happened while in service. This would have to happen while in service. Or the other avenue is there has to be a disability, it could be a secondary condition to an already current disability. And then a third one would be maybe it wasn't diagnosed while in service, but it got diagnosed through a nexus letter, a nexus where a doctor believes that the current disability is related to their military service.
All right. Many of our clients come to us experiencing financial hardship, seeking resources to supplement or provide them with a monetary source to basic living expenses. Can you walk us through a specific time when you were successfully assisted an individual in this situation? Detail which benefits, programs, or agencies you referred them to, and what the final outcome was.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, so I'm looking back at a situation is we had a veteran that came into our office that was looking, they first were just looking for their DD 214. And sometimes that's usually the first connection that we get with veterans. They're looking to get the DD 214. Maybe it's because they want to go get their ID card or get discounts or something. So a lot of times if the veteran came back to the county or the state of Michigan, we have a good chance that we have that discharge because they might have registered it. So when we get that, we look over that DD 214, we can tell a lot of information. One, we look at the years of service. the years of service are going to tell us, if maybe they served during a wartime period, if it's during Vietnam, or if they served during Vietnam, but maybe in Korea, there might be presumptive conditions that they might have been, that might give them service-connected disabilities. Or if they served during the, Gulf Wars, things like that. So we're looking for key details like that. We're also going to look at their awards. So if they got a Vietnam Service Medal, or they got, they served in Iraq, Afghanistan. So then we can turn around and ask them questions like, were you in country? Where did you serve? And then we can say, do you have any disabilities that have been disabilities you're dealing with right now? Maybe it's some breathing issues, maybe it's heart or diabetes. So when we look at that DD 214, we can then guide them to the different, we can look at filing for VA compensation. So that's where I say we had a veteran come in looking for just a DD 214. I was able to look at the DD 214 and ask him, hey, he was a Vietnam vet, do you have heart issues? Yes. Do I have diabetes? Yes. So we were able to then start looking at the process of filing compensation. Then we found out that the veteran was having some financial issues. So with that process of with financial, we're having some financial issues, we looked at filing for veterans relief for that veteran. So yeah, so that's the process we kind of go through when we're looking to see if we can connect them. So we might have, and then if there's any other services, we might have connected them with outside agencies for that process.
What was the final outcome?
Final outcome was we got the veteran service connected for disability. So then there's some of their financial stresses were relieved in that process. So
Thank you.
This department operates under 3 different budgets. Please explain your experience preparing, managing, and forecasting multiple budgets simultaneously.
yes, I've assisted with the current director in that process because we have our first budget is our general fund, which operates the office. Within that budget, that really focuses on paying the director and the deputy directors a portion of their payroll, and then other office expenses and stuff. And then we have what's called the the Michigan County Veterans Service Fund, which is a grant. It's a grant that allows us to help pay for other portions of each of all 3 of the other staff members, all 3 of us staff, and also help with extra things that we may need. Like if could be a while ago, we used to use it for like outreach, transportation, and other like equipment and supplies that we may need in the office, like updated computers or software, things like that. And then the other one is the Veterans Relief Fund, which allows us to help serve indigent veterans and their families that may need financial assistance. And we also use that to help pay our Veterans Relief Officer.
Thank you.
Securing and managing grant funding requires attention to detail and strict adherence to guidelines. Please explain your experience preparing a grant request and organizing all the quarterly expenditure reports for reimbursement.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so that is a newer process to me. I have assisted the current director with that operations of figuring out what we're going to apply for the grant, going through that process, help collecting the information needed. So how much those things that we're requesting are going to cost, help preparing that. And more recently started being trained on how to do the quarterly reports and how to write the briefings on that.
As a director, you'll often need to translate complex situations and processes into clear, actionable steps for a client or team members. Tell us about a time you had to simplify a highly complex, stressful issue for a client or colleague.
Thank you for that question. That's on a lot of times a daily basis for us because the VA is very complicated. There's many departments within the VA. And even a lot of veterans and families, when they come into our office, they get very confused because they feel like we are part of the actual federal VA. And so we have to always explain to them that we are a county office, a county department. So situations may come in as where I help veteran, this is like I said, it's all the time. So when a veteran or family member comes in, I will usually we break down everything for them. So we're listening to them to figure out what their needs are. And then we're going to break down that process to figure out how we can help them. And so in our office, we have a check sheet when we go to file for benefits, because that helps us to kind of guide the process with them. And then it's something they can take home physically to be able to refer back to, because it's very complicated. It can be very complicated, and there's a lot of steps that need to file for federal benefits, especially, for example, like compensation. You have to, veterans are going to have to get if they don't use the VA medical center, they're going to have to get their primary medical records. They're going to have to be able to tell their story and why they think these conditions service connected. They're going to need to get their marriage information, bank information. And so we have to go through this process with them and then make sure they understand that process in a clear manner and with dignity and professionalism. And so when they leave that office, they understand what they need.
Do you have any trouble reducing the stressful position of the veteran?
I'd say we haven't have any trouble, but there is, you do have at times, there's veterans that may, or family members that are, just because they're coming in and sometimes in a very stressful, it's a stressful time in their life, especially if they might have got a diagnosis recently of like a terminal illness. So they're very stressed because they don't want to leave their families with nothing. And so most of the time we can calm them down, we can make them feel comfortable. So there's things that you do. A lot of times we do everything at our front desk, but sometimes if you see a veteran or a family member that's a little bit more distressed, you're going to pull them into the office or into our other room where we have a table, and so we can kind of, let them relax and maybe go through the process a little bit slower. So we try not to let them leave unless they understand what's going on and what the next steps are. And we always tell them to feel free to stop in or give us a call back. We're always available for them when they need us.
You kind of answered my next question already. Veterans often come into the office highly stressed, frustrated, or in the middle of an emotional crisis. Tell us about a time you had to deal with an agitated or highly emotional client. How did you de-escalate the situation and get them the help that they needed?
Definitely. Thank you for that question again, because that does happen. We do get sometimes veterans that, or family members or anybody in the community that comes in and asking questions that might be really in a very bad place in their mind. And so when sometimes you try your best to calm them down, you listen. That's the first thing. You got to listen to them. You got to let them kind of get that out. But you also got to kind of guide it in a calm manner. And then you just, a lot of times just listening is the key to that. And then you try to explain things to them. And then if they don't understand, you figure out, you got to look at it in a different perspective of how they're looking at it. And so it's like, all right, I see what you're saying. But this is what the VA is saying. This is how they're presenting it. But that doesn't mean that this is the final answers, or there's always another situation. There's another way to attack these situations. And so we just have to really look at how we do that. But there is at times where I had a situation where I had someone come in and it just wasn't, I didn't feel like I was connecting with that person right away. And so before the situation got any worse, you have to sometimes you got to make a decision, and that is to bring in somebody else, because sometimes you might not be at that time the best person for them. And because we are an office and we are a small office, we work as a team, we work together. And so for my situation, I brought in Tammy because she knew this veteran from someone from the past too. And so they had a previous connection. So I brought her in to be able to help bring in that situation as I stood back and listened and learned, because maybe there's something I missed during that time. So that's how I handled a situation like that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Tell us about a project, initiative, or program you implemented to improve how things were done. Walk us through the process you took to incorporate the new idea and the results of that change.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, so being a very small office and tight budgets, a lot of times You know, it's not always about our office putting on a program or putting something together, but it's working with our community partners to do that. And we had a most recent, program, and that was, and it started with my idea that, I started seeing a lot of veterans, especially aging veterans that are having difficulties utilizing veterans technology. The VA's technology with their apps and signing up for the ID Me so they can get into the systems to see their benefits or see their healthcare appointments. And so with that process, as I know the VA healthcare system they have techs that can help veterans figure out how to get on to their online appointments and things like that. But usually the veteran still has to log in online or has to call them and use technology to even get access to them. So I was like, well, wonder if the VA would come out and actually maybe do some kind of training or help assist with that situation. So I reached out to the Veterans Healthcare, one of the coordinators with there to look into something like that. And from there on, that person took that on and contacted the right people. And it was like 2 weeks ago that we ended up putting on that event, and it was a lot of the people from the community organizations came out to help. So the VA had their eligibility department there. They had their tech people there. We had, like I said, we had a lot of different other organizations there and through that process to provide provide services for veterans and their families during that time. And it just started with an idea and it moved forward from there.
So kind of a follow-up on that. Did you help one guy? Did you help one veteran during that event?
Yes, we did help. We actually ended up helping 19 veterans during that event. And a lot of it was a majority of it was healthcare, but we did have a few that came in and it was trying to help access to use the apps and stuff. And that's all that matters. To me, it's as long as we can help one veteran at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, the goal is to get more, but we have one, that's one more than we had the other day. They understands about their benefits. So.
Okay, thank you.
As director, you will perform many functions and are expected to maintain a high level of accuracy while preparing VA claims, appeals, budgets, grant reports, accounts payables, news releases, and other communications. How do you ensure accuracy and what steps you take when you identify a discrepancy?
You have to address those situations early on. That's the key. If you find discrepancies in situations, because that's going to happen. We're all human. So the process is to provide the most accurate information to the public and to the veterans or family members when they come into our office. But things change. The VA updates things all the time. Systems update. So that information maybe right at that moment in time, but may change within the next day. So we have to make sure we're continuously updating the community on updated benefits. And so that's what we do with our veterans newsletter. We try to put that information out. We're lucky enough, we have good partners within the county to allow us to put stuff on Facebook to update the community as quick as we're able to with information or events in the community. But if there's discrepancies that need to be addressed, we address those in the right manner, so if there's an error that made, I have to address it. I have to inform the veteran. If there's something I did wrong, I have to inform the veteran. I have to inform the right parties if it needs to be, so.
Our team occasionally works an evening or weekend on an outreach event or project. And our VSOs are required to attend multi-day out-of-town conference to maintain their annual VA accreditation CEUs. Can you share an example how you've successfully managed your own work-life balance as well as your teams when handling a project which requires extended hours?
Thanks for that question. That is something we currently do already. So, like I said, I attend, always attending conferences. So we just attend our spring conference continue to get our CEUs and to learn about new and updated information. Our fall, we attend the fall conference to continue to be educated. And then if there's events in the community, each year we usually go to an I Did It car show every year to do outreach, and that's on a weekend. Those are things that they are beneficial to our veterans community and their family. And so those are things that you have to allow time for, because that's how we're going to be able to connect and provide benefits for veterans and their families, is by getting the information out to them. So then they come back to our office and we can continue to work with them. And that's just part of the job in this department, is we have to allow for time outside of the normal working hours to be able to reach the veterans that may not be able to get into our office during those days, during their regular hours.
Is there any problem on the work-life balance on that?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah, so work-life balance is, you figure out figure out how to manage that. So it's communicating with my family on when being able to communicate with my family when I have to take time for work outside of normal hours, and making sure I take care of my own physical and mental health as I go through that process. There's no problems with that. I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, prioritizing your workday to stay organized and meet deadlines is important in this department. As director, how would you ensure your team remains current with their caseloads, fulfills their responsibilities, and remains productive during slower periods without resorting to micromanagement?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I think it's to continue to build on the foundations that are already in place, that keeps us organized in our claim process. For instance, we get a claim in, when somebody comes in for looking to put in a claim, we do an intent to file. That intent to file, at the end of the day, the intent to file is on the veteran to make sure they come in and provide us the rest of the information so we can put them in our caseloads to work at their claim. And then when they do that, we put them in, each of us have our own set of cases, and we put them in a filing rack by date order. And so that's how we'll start the process of claims. And at the same time, there might be things that come in that, for instance, that if a veteran may be terminally ill, so we have to put that ahead of the other group. So, and the other people, because they're considered, it's an emergent situation that we have to get their claim in. Or if, say, a veteran comes in and they have to do an appeal, that appeal has to be done within a year. So we have to address those situations as they come in, but we each maintain our own caseloads through that process. And we have to make sure we're keeping an eye on those dates. And I think that's where, as director, it's just always encouraging your team to pay attention to those things and asking, hey, are you tracking your dates? Are you tracking the deadline dates for your appeals? Are you tracking the intent dates, making sure you're getting these claims in a timely manner? And then I think you asked another question, if they were periods of that our time are slow. Those barely happen, but if they are, there's plenty of work to do. We have, especially in our office, we still have a lot of filing cabinets full of records, and a lot of them are very old. So there's a lot of purging that needs to be done, but it's also a great time to, if there is those times, it's a great time to do training and to keep up, to go through claims too. Like, especially for myself, if I was the director, it's a good time to kind of audit some of the different claims that the staff have done to make sure they're continuing to do things the proper way. And I think that's a good time, when there's slow time, to do that kind of situation. And also outreach. It's also a good time to do outreach when you have slow periods of the year, so.
Does an executive committee member have a follow-up clarification question?
I do not.
I do not.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's a follow-up question or not, but as somebody that has been in the department for a while, is there anything that you see that if you were to get this job, that any policies or procedures that you would change right away?
I don't think there's any policies or procedures that are changed away, because there's been a great foundation that's been put in place. And I think we just need to continue with that, because our job is to help advocate for veterans and their families. And that's our main focus, and that's what we need to keep doing. And especially over the next year, that'll be my main focus, to keep the efficiency of that. And then looking at how do we look, not really policies, but I think it's what can we look at to continue to grow. How do we add technology more into our workplace? How do we do more outreaches? Looking at different things like that, and not really policies that need to be put in place.
Okay, thank you.
On your application itself, it had you taken, I think, 2 master's classes and a bachelor class. One from Siena Heights, one from U of M. Anyway,
Mm.
it had on the application that you had done these classes, but you didn't graduate. Was that
That was a clerical error on my part. Owing to that, during my process of doing the application, I went down to the signature page. I went to go, I was like, oh, it's time to sign it. I was like, let me go back and review it. As I went up to the process, when I went up to the application, 75% it was missing. It disappeared. So before I went to click the go, so I had to go redo everything. And so I must have overlooked that button. I do have, like I said, I do have a bachelor's degree, and I do have a master's degree from the University of Michigan from social work. And I also have a master's from Eastern in human resources.
okay? Thank you. I was wondering if it was just a clerical error or,
Yes, after reviewing, like going to see to make sure everything was right, I did call the next day because I had that issue, called HR to let them know and verify that my application got put in there, but I must have overlooked that button as I was reviewing and redoing everything again, so.
okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions for us or comments?
I do have a few questions for y'all. I have written down here, what is the executive committee looking for in a veteran service director?
I would say that, me specifically, somebody with experience working with veterans. Again, you do not have to be a veteran, but some that you know the job. As you mentioned during the interview, it's a complex system. VA is definitely complicated. And I think that's very important, because if you don't know this stuff, it's hard to come in, hit the ground running.
My feeling on that question is that even though it's a small office, we still need a team leader that can work well within the personnel within the office.
I think I'm looking for somebody that doesn't look at the veteran as just a name on a piece of paper. Somebody that can actually connect with them on a personal level. And can understand what they're going through, you know, as somebody who has been through some of the stuff that you deal with, it's just good to make the veteran feel heard. And I think you've kind of, you know, brought that out today, that is important to you, but that's kind of what I'm looking for, somebody that makes the veteran, because I thought it was very apropos that I got to ask you the question about the highly stressed, frustrated, emotional crisis, because I've been that person. And that's what I'm looking for in a director. So thank you.
compassion and dignity.
Yes.
I think that's foremost, and I kind of gotta piggyback on what you said, you know, is that, you gotta learn, you have to learn, you got to learn your applicant, I guess, for the lack of a better term. And, you know, you got to know their situation before you can, you know, get to know them a little bit.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Oh,
that.
I think you're working with a diverse personality and age. So we're going to say who can work within the entire age areas. And every veteran has a different personality. So getting across that bridge sometimes is difficult. looking for somebody to walk that line.
Thank you for that answer. Do have one more question. What goals or priorities would the committee like to see the office focus on over the next few years?
I think the office has to maintain exposure to the community. There's a lot of factions within the community have no idea what Veterans Affairs does. So, like you said, you go to, I did it, expose yourself, go to the fairgrounds for Veterans Day. Important to expose the office to the community.
I would echo that. I think you kind of referenced in one of your examples earlier that that event, 19 veterans came to get support. I happened to be at that event, and I know that there were 7 who were not signed up for VA healthcare who ended up getting signed up. One day, we just got 7 veterans connected to VA healthcare. So more things along that line would be good. And then for me, I think in the past, I know I've heard that claims can take a while, maybe a backlog. So trying to reduce that backlog. Just try to get through them, whatever needs to be put in place to help that.
I don't know, I don't want this to come off the wrong way because there's always room for improvement. But the Lenawee County Veterans Affairs Office is top notch. I mean, I've been associated with it out there for 13, 14, maybe 15 years. And, I started out as a van driver and then I just needed to give back more. So that's when I got involved with the executive committee and stuff like that. And, building on your laurels, I guess. I do know that there are programs that the Michigan Veterans Affairs have implemented through our office or through your office. And that says a lot to me about how the State Department feels about our county office. If they're giving us that responsibility to implement programs that have not been tried before in the state, and they use our county to do that, that says a lot for our office. And I hate to say it, but maintaining the status quo and building upon that status quo. That was a good question.
Yeah, thank you. And for me, that's my goal, is to continue that status quo, to continue to build upon the foundations that's put in place, and to continue to serve the veterans and the families in this community. Being a member of this community, being a veteran, I understand also the struggles to transition. I understand what veterans are going through. And to me, I want to continue to serve my veterans and their families because that's very important to me. I think about it day and night. How do we continue to better this community? Even if I wasn't working with this department, I would still be continuing to serve veterans because that's what the passion and love I have. That's the gift that I want to continue to give, because I know that there's always someone in that falls. There's always people that are going to continue to fall through the cracks, and we need people to continue to fill those cracks so there's no one falling through anymore. And so I echo what you guys say, what all of you say, and I appreciate the feedback. And if have the privilege of doing this position, I'm going to continue to grow on that and to look at how I can continue to do outreach and continue to do allow the department to be ran and managed in the same efficiency that it has been for all these years.
Thank you, Mr. Rupel.
Number 3 on part 2, John.
I do not.
You want me to read it?
Oh, yeah. If
I-
offered the position, what date would you be eligible to begin? My error, I'm sorry.
I would be able to begin immediately, because since I'm already in that office, so whenever it's desired for me to start.
That's semi why I almost discounted that question.
You don't need to give 2 weeks notice.
No, I don't think I need to do that.
Well, okay, thank you for interviewing with us today and for your interest in serving the veterans and dependents of Lauderdale County. The executive committee anticipates completing its selection process by Monday, assuming everything proceeds as planned. We appreciate the time and effort you invested in preparing for today's interview and wish you the best throughout the remainder of the selection process. You are welcome to stay for the balance of the meeting if you want. If you want to take a seat in the public seating area. If not, please enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you all very much for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to interview for this position.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go about working up, tallying up our scores. And don't discuss that amongst the members, tally up your own stuff and just leave it be at that. And then we'll take a short break, bathroom break, if you want to get something to drink or something like that. Yes. I'd entertain a motion to go into recess.
Crockett motions for recess.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion pass. Thank you.
Mike,
I would entertain a motion to come out of recess.
Crockett motions to restart, come out of recess.
Saxton will second that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same. Okay. Okay, Mr. Walker, I'm Mike Shadbolt. I'm the chairman of the VA, Lenawee County VA Executive Committee. And we have, Mr. Gilman, Todd Gilman, John Saxton in the black shirt, Commissioner Collins in the blue shirt, and Ted Crockett down there on the end. Myself, Mr. Crockett, Mr. Saxton, and Mr. Gilman will be the ones asking the questions. And, I guess we'll get right to it. The first question is tell us about yourself and what qualities and or strengths will make you successful as our next Veteran Service Director.
So first, I want to thank you guys for inviting me here to be in this process. I'm grateful for it. My name is Kevin Walker. I did 12 and a half years in the Navy as a hospital corpsman. With that, I was with the Marines because they don't have their own medics. They use the Navy. So I managed medical records, probably about over 500 medical records. I was in charge of the second largest physical fitness department in the Navy, with over 6,000 students yearly and about 1,500 staff, creating and making plans for physical assessments. And my last 3 years of the Navy, I was a RDC, which is a drill instructor. And it's about, you get between 60 to 90 kids that you have to take from civilian to sailor in 10 weeks. Now, everyone thinks that's a lot of yelling, and I understand that, but it's really not. It's a lot of mentoring, coaching, teaching, instructing. It's wearing multiple hats that you have to know when to switch to. And it was very fulfilling, especially when those recruits click, when they finally get it. And you're like, yes, we've made it. We got them here. And in that, I also ran a program, the STEP program for when recruits would fail their original run test. They gave them 3 more tries, and we went from 67% pass rate to about 97% pass rate within 2 or 3 months. And then as I transitioned out of the Navy, I used what is called the Skill Bridge program to DoD program. That gives me the last 6 months of my enlistment to make, to do an internship. I chose to go to AbbVie, it's a pharmaceutical company, as a recruiter for those 6 months. I only did 4 months because I took terminal leave for 2, as I moved from Illinois back to Michigan. During those 4 months, I can be honest and say, recruiting, I've never been on that side, never been in the corporate world, had no idea what was going on. They sat me down. They said, hey, this is how we do it. This is what we're going to do. We're going to help you through this thing all together. In those 4 months, I had 15 roles that I hired, all 15. I ran a pipeline for recruiters, for contract recruiters, and we hired about, I want to say between 7 to 10 contractors through that pipeline in those 4 months. And it showed it showed me, it doesn't matter if I don't know the information, I can learn. And if I want to do the job, I can get that job done. And they, came back to me when my time was up and asked me to be a talent acquisition coordinator. Very fancy word for saying I schedule interviews. But that's exactly what I do. I schedule, interviews. I've scheduled probably over 2,000 virtual, on-site and travel interviews, for candidates coming in for the smallest roles to, VP roles. And that's, coordinating with the recruiter and coordinating with the hiring manager and the hiring team. And it's honestly a great thing to watch and see the whole process, being able to help people. My entire career, that's what I've done. And I think that's probably one of my greatest strengths, is wanting to help those that need it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the Veteran Service Director, you are not only the department head, you are also the Chief Veteran Service Officer. You will balance a client caseload, mentor VSOs, manage the department's strategic planning, and navigate complex bureaucracy. How does this role align with where you want to be professional, and does it fit your long-term goal?
Can you say that last part one more time?
How does this role align with where you want to be professionally, and does it fit your long-term goal?
So yes, I would say it does fit my long-term goal. And being where I want to be professionally, being able to be in a role that changes someone's life is where I want to be. That's my goal in my life and my professional career, because being able to change someone's life is a great thing to me. You know, when I came out of the military and I had that help, I was grateful. And I realized that's what that is. That's what I want to do. So being able to do that definitely fits where I want to be long-term.
As veteran service officer, a veteran service officer is expected to be knowledgeable on veteran-related benefits and resources. To achieve service-connected VA disability compensation, a veteran must establish that a current disability is linked to their military service. The VA recognizes 5 avenues. Please describe at least 2 of these avenues.
So you were talking about the avenues of how to get the disability? Is that correct?
They must achieve the service disability compensation. So there are 5 different avenues of how VA approaches that.
Okay. I mean, I do not have that answer. I'm sorry.
I don't know, you may be able to clarify that a little bit. Majority of these veterans that we deal with all have a service-related disability
Mhm.
or purported. VA recognizes these by different methods. The, your thought process of how these different avenues may be approached.
Um, I mean, I understand the paperwork behind it, the process of doing the disability, the avenues within it. I may be misunderstanding, but I do not know.
All right, thank you. Many of our clients come to us experiencing financial hardship, seeking resources to supplement, provide them with a monetary source to maintain basic living expenses. Can you walk us through a specific time when you successfully assisted an individual in this situation? Detail which benefits, programs, or agencies you referred them to and what the final outcome was?
So officially, I have not had to help someone on a professional level of doing that.
Right.
But at a personal level, being in the military, having my junior enlisted coming to me because they're having financial issues. I've definitely directed them to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society and had them get financial advisors through that. Because, I mean, it's hardship, things happen, and you want to make sure you're with someone that understands it completely. And being able to push them towards the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society was a great avenue that we have in the Navy and the military.
Thank you.
This department operates under 3 different budgets. Please explain your experience preparing, managing, and forecasting multiple budgets simultaneously.
While I've never dealt with an actual budget, I've dealt with equipment that mounts up to millions of dollars in our budget in the commands I've been in. Balancing those was not only a difficult task, right? But it's also a team effort when it comes to it. Having people help you and back you up on certain things when it comes to budgets, overlook, hey, make sure this is correct. Hey, do we have the right equipment? And and that's what I dealt with in the military, is all of our equipment. Being in charge of the second largest physical assessment program in the Navy, we had probably $1 million into that, and having to know where everything was and being able to manage that by using the team, not just one person.
Okay, thank you.
Securing and managing grant funding requires attention to detail and strict adherence to guidelines. Please explain your experience preparing a grant request and organizing all the quarterly expenditure reports for reimbursement.
So again, I've never had that experience particularly. But as you know, being in the military and doing my job as a medical professional, processes are strictly followed. And I don't say this lightly, in my line of work, we don't follow the process, someone could get hurt. So that is one thing that I am very tentative to, is knowing the exact process of what I'm doing. And that doesn't matter whether in the medical field, at my current job, right? There's process to everything, and that's what you do, and you follow it.
As a director, you will often need to translate complex situations into processes into clear, actionable steps for a client or team member. Tell us about a time when you had to simplify a highly complex, stressful issue for a client or colleague.
So when I was a drill instructor in the Navy. The Navy in itself is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Difficult when it comes to processes and instructions. Reading those instructions can be very hard. And I learned those 3 years that being able to simplify it and break it down for someone to understand, is not only saying it multiple different ways for them to catch on. It's making sure you understand it. So when you're breaking it down, you know that you're saying it correctly. So yeah, my experience would be that, like being able to do that with 60 to 90 kids every 10 weeks, breaking certain instructions down and being like, hey, this is what this means. This is why it says this, and this is what we need to do behind this.
I think I need to extend that a little bit. You're referencing to a group. Is there an individual that you simplified a complex situation with that individual?
Yes. Um, being in the military means you have different, you have a lot of conflict in certain areas. And it's being able to go to your higher up or your junior and having that conversation of, hey, this is where it's going. This is what happened. This is what we need to do, and breaking that down. Whether it's a process or conflict engagement, it's having that conversation and being one-on-one and breaking that down for them to understand it.
Thank you.
All right, veterans often come into the office highly stressed, frustrated, or in the middle of an emotional crisis. Tell us about a time you had to deal with an agitated or highly emotional client. How did you de-escalate the situation and get them the help that they needed?
So as a drill instructor, we have civilians that come in all the time, obviously, but very emotional. The first 3 days of no contact with family is very hard. This particular situation, I had a recruit come up to me and straight up said, "Petty officer, I want to kill myself." And emotional. I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's step over, talk in the office, had the conversation with him, took everything from him, just in case. Called 911, because we still call 911 on base, and de-escalated by having a conversation with him and having someone else get help to bring to us. That was the first time I've had a situation like that. And being able for me to stay calm was the biggest game changer of everything. Because if I'm not calm, that changes the situation. And I've seen those situations happen where people are not calm and it goes south really quick.
Right, thank you.
Tell us about a project, initiative, or program you have implemented to improve how things were done. Walk us through the process you took to incorporate the new idea and the results of that change.
So I was in charge of a program called the STEP program. And when recruits came in and they failed their run portion of the PRT assessment, they would come into this program. Now, this program was designed for them to do 3 attempts, and if they fail all 3, they get kicked out. The issue with the program was they only just did attempts. They only ran it 3 more times. They didn't get help. So I implemented where for 1 month, we actually work out with them. We actually do a workout instead of just force them to do the test that they already failed, right? Because we want them to be better, and we can't just expect them to do the same thing every time and they're gonna fail. That's kind of how that works usually. So I implemented a new process in the program for a 1-month training exercise. And then they get their attempts. And doing that, as I said earlier, went from a 67 pass to a 97 pass within the first 2 to 3 months, once we started.
Thank you.
As director, you will perform many functions and are expected to maintain a high level of accuracy when preparing VA claims. Appeals, budgets, grant reports, accounts payables, news releases, and other communications. How do you ensure accuracy, and what steps do you take when you identify a discrepancy?
So right now, as a talent acquisition coordinator, I deal with hiring managers, interview teams, candidates, and recruiters. And there are times where I have at least 40 different candidates I am talking to, which means I'm talking to probably 50 to 60 interviewers with those roles. So being organized and being able to know exactly where you're at, even when you have to shift from one thing to another, is huge. And, you know, when you do find that discrepancy or mistake, you have to first see how it happened. How did this discrepancy happen? And then owning it, like, hey, look, I noticed this happened. We need to own it, and then we need to fix it. And fixing it, depending on what the discrepancy is, can be either easy or it can be a difficult shift to make right. But that's why always being organized and knowing what you're doing is key for the discrepancies, because if you're always on top of it, yeah, there may be a discrepancy, but it's probably not going to be a big discrepancy because you're already hitting you're dotting your i's, crossing your t's, right, when you're doing everything. So those discrepancies should be small.
Our team occasionally works an evening or weekend on an outreach event or project. And our VSOs are required to attend multi-day out-of-town conference to maintain their annual VA accreditation CEUs. Can you share an example how you've successfully managed your own work-life balance, as well as your teams when handling a project which requires extended hours?
Yeah, so actually in November of last year, as a talent acquisition coordinator, I traveled to Houston for a conference that we had. And being out of town, the wife held it down at home, and I was gone for about 4 days. And when I got home, they gave us time off and was able to balance that just fine. Having a support at home helps doing conferences and doing those weekends as long as you're on the same page. Yeah. Sorry, I lost train of thought.
Yeah, I understand that. I think the gist of that question is with, sometimes it's difficult to balance work as opposed to life situation. Do you anticipate any problem in that area? Don't, you didn't understand?
I guess I'm not understanding.
Sometimes it's difficult to those of us have, consider having a life outside of work.
hmm
Sometimes that balance is difficult. Can you see any problem in?
I don't see any problems with it. I personally have never had issues with my work-life balance. So I've always been good with that balance.
Thank you.
All right, prioritizing your work day to stay organized and meet deadlines is important in this department. As director, how would you ensure your team remains current with their caseloads, fulfills their responsibilities, and remains productive during slower periods without resorting to micromanagement?
So I mean, the best way to manage workloads and everything is first off, knowing what we have going on, right? Being able to have maybe a 15-minute meeting, talking about, hey, what do we got going on? What's the workload today? And then if something needs to shift, then we can shift it. I'm not big on micromanaging. I'm not going to be on top of them. I don't like that way of leadership. But when you have a caseload, when we have things we need to get done in multiple different areas, we need to get it done. And if you need help, we need to have conversations. It's all about communication when it comes to hitting those milestones or those daily tasks. It's about communication and what needs to be done.
Thank you.
Okay, does an executive committee member have a follow-up clarification question?
I have none.
No,
No, no, okay. Do you have any questions for us or comments?
I do have a few questions. I guess, the first question would be, what does success look like for the person taking this role in the first 6 to 12 months?
You guys want to field that? The VA office here in Lenawee County is, and the people that work there on a daily basis, they're top notch. I would like, and I've used this term before, and I don't really like it, but I don't know how to otherwise vocalize it, but maintaining the status quo and building on that status quo. We have implemented, projects or programs and stuff through our office that the state had wanted to start up, and they wanted an office to initiate that program, and they selected Lenawee County, so that says a lot for our
Mhm.
county. And that would be my answer to your question, is maintaining the status quo and building upon that status quo. Nothing's ever perfect, things
Mhm.
can be improved upon.
Thank you for answering that. I had one more question. Trying to remember it.
That's his last question.
Yeah.
If offered the position, what date would you be available to begin?
Give me 2 weeks so I can put in my 2-week notice, honestly.
Thank you.
And I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for interviewing with us today and for your interest in serving the veterans and dependents of Lenawee County. The executive committee anticipates completing its selection process by Monday, assuming everything proceeds as planned. We appreciate the time and the effort you've invested in preparing for today's interview and wish you the best throughout the remainder of the selection process. Well, you're welcome to stay for the balance of the meeting if you want to take a seat in the public seating area. If not, please enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much for this. I appreciate your guys' time, and I'm excited to move forward, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service too, even though you were a drill instructor.
Let me ask you, was it difficult for a sailor to be hanging around these Marines all the time?
You too. Thank you very much. When did the Navy go to 10 weeks? Only 8 when I was in the Navy.
Retraining.
Right.
They switched that probably roughly 20 years ago. They were trying to give them more sleep.
Right.
So by giving more sleep, you have to extend the time.
Is that true?
Yes.
I didn't know we got sleep in boot camp.
Sleep? What do you mean sleep?
Sleep.
Well, I don't know. They probably did a study and,
Right.
okay, instead of 6
Yeah.
hours, we need to give you 8. So in
Right.
order to get everything
Things have
done.
changed a lot since
Right.
we were going through boot camp.
Yeah, there was a lot of yelling when I was in camp.
Harry, you stole my question. Realize it.
What's that?
The chair stole my question on the, does the candidate have any question for us?
I'm so sorry.
I feel it.
It won't happen again, Ted, I promise.
Well, the thing with, problem with my question, his question right behind me, they almost replicated each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but as I try to clarify mine. Yeah, but as I try to clarify mine, it's sort of more
Right.
into him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to push that clarification. I was gonna sort of let him try to pull that out. As much as I struggled to clarify, it, maybe I wasn't clarifying it well enough.
Yeah. Has everybody added everything up? Okay. Yes. We will, there's a discussion period here. Okay. On, on, everything we're doing here is live. Okay, everybody all set? Okay, I'll call on each committee member to, give their score for applicant number 7, Rupel. Shadbolt, I had him scored as a 90. Crockett,
84.
84. Saxton,
I did 96 on him.
Gilman,
Sorry. 87.
87.
What was yours again?
For applicant number 2. Kevin Walker. I had him as a 57. Crockett,
55.
Saxton,
46.
Gilman,
67.
$25. I have, applicant Rupel, I have his total score as 357. Applicant Walker, I have him as a 225. I would entertain a motion to offer the Veteran Service Director's position to the candidate with the highest score.
Sexton moves that.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Crockett second.
Crockett? It has been moved and seconded that candidate Rupel has been selected to be our next Veteran Service Director. Is there any discussion?
I would just say that I think Rupel, the experience really came through, and I think that really is what the challenge was with the second applicant. I do think the second applicant really did answer question number 9 about the program. I love that answer, was about the STEP program and
Yeah.
the outcome on that. I thought that was really good and really the kind of answer we were looking for there, but the rest of the answers, I think the experience just wasn't there.
Yeah, you know, the experience and stuff wasn't there for the second applicant.
Possibly if, I think there's some leadership qualities there, so it maybe that could be something looked at for deputy director if. Right.
Well, the whole thing, a lot of the questions were directed to an individual veteran and his experience with group. And maybe I was nitpicking on it, but I identified that. And again, it's his position that he had with it.
So a deputy, he could have potential there.
Yeah, I think Kevin the second has potential to grow into a position like this, but he
Yeah.
just needs a requisite training and time to do it. So I don't think stepping into a job as a director of a department, not necessarily in his qualifications yet, but I think if he were to get into as a lower level and gain the experience, I think he does show leadership qualities to be able to do a job like this in the future.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with all of your assessments. It was along the same line that I was thinking, is that, you know, he would be a good fit for this position, but he has no experience at it right now, and that's not what our department needs.
Now we need somebody that can step in and do the job immediately. But I agree. The potential is there.
Yep, I agree with that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Um. Okay, I'll make contact with the selected candidate and offer him the position, and Director Sheldon will work out the hiring details. Yes.
The motion carried.
Yes, the motion carried.
Thank you.
I think you were supposed to say that.
Excuse me?
I think you were supposed to say motion carried.
Yeah, I know.
I have a,
I only do this once every couple of months. Golly.
I'm glad we have an administrator in that crowd.
This is why you cannot ever be absent, because I don't want to do that.
I think I have a question. Now, what do we do in the deputy position? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now, my question to kind of follow up your question, is the deputy director do they have the authority to hire that position, or is that gonna come back to us? The assistant deputy director.
The way that we've done it in the past is that, there'll be two board members on the interview committee. And there'll be the director will be on the interview committee. And it's basically the same process.
Same process, but just-
That we just went through.
Right.
It's gonna be about the same process, but it won't be the full committee interviewing for the director.
Or essentially, we open the process again.
Yes,
So the state law says the executive committee, which is the member of the four boards, actually hires the staff that operates the office. So like, as the director, or excuse me, as the chairman, he can delegate how he wants the interview board to go. So you guys would have to authorize him full, ready hiring process. And how you want to say that?
mhm.
Delegate.
Can we do that now?
I would not.
And wait and do it at the July meeting?
I think,
We don't have, we need to.
yeah, we haven't even
Oh.
officially hired
So-
the director yet. I think that we just need to hold on to that for our July meeting. And then we'll discuss this process all over again. Okay? Sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable.
Absolutely.
That's scary. Reasonable ideas on Friday.
Okay. Chairman comments that he will make contact with the selected candidate and offer him the position, and Director Sheldon will work out the hiring process details with the Human Relations Department. I think we're all done here. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Public comment.
There's no public.
I move to adjourn.
Crockett, second. Crockett, second.
Crockett, second. I got a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.